Critical Blast, where pop culture gets blasted.
And good evening, everybody. I am RJ Carter, Senior Managing Editor here at criticalblast.com, and we are into hour 8 of the Podcast-palooza today, where we are just going on a marathon stream of talking with comic book creators about their projects. Sort of a unique instance this time. So if you're all coming in late because you went to the 5 o'clock scheduled stream and you see it got pushed back to 7, that's because we swapped it with this one. So we got some scheduling unconflicts happening. So hopefully you will catch us on the replay, or you'll find us here now and figure out that that stream's not happening at the moment. But also we're trying to offer advice on this one. We have a comic book creator, Michael T. Gonzalez. He's done a book called Neotheric, which was a very cool dinosaur alien kind of invasion book that you can find on Amazon now. And he's got a new horror book called 6-8, and he's going to do it on Kickstarter. But he's never done crowdfunding before, so he's going to look to, you, the chat, as sort of a feedback source to, give pointers as to what's going to make this a better Kickstarter. It is not live on Kickstarter yet. We will be showing the screen captures of it so that you can see it, live with us. And then, hopefully you can comment in the chat saying, here's what needs to be done. Here's what will make this better. So we look forward to that. So please welcome with me to the stream, Mr. Michael T. Gonzalez. Michael, welcome to the show.
Hey, what's up, RJ? How you doing?
I'm doing great. So this is not your first comic book, by the way. You've been at this for a while.
Yeah. Well, technically, it actually is my first comic book, my first full comic that I ever wrote. But I've produced more since then, and so this one is I'm just trying to put a Kickstarter together to fund printing it. It's
Gotcha.
Never been printed before.
So it's being published out of chronological order from your other works, but it's the first one you actually worked on.
Yeah.
All right, so I have the screen. I don't need audio for this one, so I won't click that on. And I'm going to take it away because it's going to do one of those things. And I'll add it again. Sometimes my shared screen just goes flicker crazy when it comes up. There we go. And as I explained, this is a private preview. I've got the link to it. So we're going to get past that, get past this, and this is what the Kickstarter will look like. So everybody in the chat, feel free to offer comments as we go through it. But before we get to that, we're going to find out exactly what 6-8 is. I don't get anything from that title that tells me what's going on here, so I'm going to rely on the picture. But 2 numbers with a colon in between them. I don't know if there's a count up going on or if it's like a time or something. So fill us in. What's the elevator pitch behind 6-8?
Well, 6-8 refers to chapter and verse of the Bible. So 6-8 and the book of Revelation is about the apocalypse and the coming of death. So the story is about, it's a story. It's a fairly simple story about a random act of violence that has like the supernatural consequence to it. So what happens is that a guy is murdered by these 2 street thugs, and he doesn't have any money on him. They just want money to buy drugs. He doesn't have any money on him, but they find in his wallet is his ID that has his home address on it and his keys. So they're like, okay, well, we're just going to go to your house and get something. So, he doesn't die in that moment, so he knows exactly what they're planning on doing. But as he's dying in this dark alley where they left him, he's sort of like praying to himself, like, how can I stop this from happening? I want to be able to do something. And basically his prayer is answered by the devil, who appears to him and gives them this ability to protect his family. So when the 2 criminals go to his wife and daughter, they're in their apartment, and they try to, they attack them. then the guy basically comes back to life in a way, and I don't want to give away the whole thing, but shit happens.
Yeah, it's the kind of thing we've seen a number of times before.
Yes.
Things that come to mind immediately are Spawn, The Crow,
Yes.
that kind of thing. So I'm not saying it's a repeat. I'm saying it's tried and true ground for storytelling.
Yeah, the way I kind of explain it is like it's a combination of like The Crow meets Twin Peaks.
Okay.
So there's like the aspects of it of The Crow where obviously someone comes back to take revenge, but it's not quite exactly that. It's not really he's taking revenge. It's more about like I'm protecting my family, my wife and my daughter from further pain and all this. But there's also the aspects of it of in The Crow it's really about the emotion of it, the grief, dealing with that kind of a loss. And also in Twin Peaks, the Twin Peaks part of it is kind of like just the general tone and the atmosphere of it, where there's like this really creepy sort of unknown, mysterious, supernatural things going on.
Oh yeah, that's Twin Peaks was weird.
Yeah.
And that's what it was. That's what made it so popular, was that nobody understood it.
Yeah. So I mean, these are like two of my favorite things: Twin Peaks and The Crow. And there's also maybe even something like you can think about, like their first Alien movie, where there's like there's not so much action. It's more about this growing tension and all this kind of the atmosphere in it, but it's punctuated by like certain moments that are like this shock and horror, and that's kind of what this is.
Okay. Well, let's take a look down the Kickstarter page here. So far, you got a video intro. I didn't share the audio, but
well, this video is 3 minutes long, so and there is some, I guess, important to hear the audio. So if it doesn't, then
let me unshare and reshare then. So
okay.
If the audio is let me share screen. I don't know why the audio button is just not clicked by default. It should be. If you have audio, you're going to want to play it.
You want to hear a scary story? It's about a guy who made a comic book, and he wanted to have it printed, but he didn't have enough money. So what was he to do? He thought to himself, how can I make this happen? How can I bring this to the people? There must be some way. And just then, a magical creature appeared right before him. It called itself Kickstarter. And it said with a devilish grin, maybe I can help you. Why don't you try me? What could possibly go wrong?
Now that was scary. But here's what's not scary. The campaign to fund printing this supernatural horror comic 6/8. Why? Because the book is finished. It's been available digitally for a while now. 6/8 is a 32-page nonlinear story about a random act of violence that has supernatural consequences. It's sort of like The Crow meets Twin Peaks. In 2018, The Walking Dead artist Charlie Adler chose it as the horror comic of the year on the Comic Central website. Note that this version of the book will be updated with some changes to make it unique from the version on Comixology, and I've commissioned a bunch of brand new amazing art and cool merchandise just for this campaign to make it extra special for you. Our initial goal is low, but there are some really cool stretch goals, like including the never-before-seen epilogue and making one of the variant covers glow in the dark. And the rewards start as low as $10 for a physical book, which includes shipping in the USA. Your support is invaluable, because if you like this book and want to see more of these characters and this world, it all hinges on the success of this campaign. Hopefully, this can be the start of something beautiful. Thank you.
All right. So, it's not done.
Don't worry that you forgot to close your closet door before you turn off the lights. I'm sure that strange dark shape inside.
And there you go.
Now it's done. Okay. that was a creepy video.
Yeah, I was just trying to think of something. How can I make a video, but sort of fits within, the concept, like a horror comic, but it's also kind of
It fit. It was about the book. It explained what was needed, and it didn't tell anything at all about the book itself. Which still grabbing. Let them. They can get that from the art and the descriptions below. I mean, yes, you did explain you were getting other. When I say it didn't explain anything about the book, it didn't explain anything about the plot.
Yeah.
Which is fine. It didn't need to do that. I think you got people's attention when you mentioned, the Adler blurb, and that it's already been available on Comixology, and that, this is really just the printing, which is why it's got a $600 goal. That should be easily attainable, even with Kickstarter. So right off the bat, I'll say that your goal is modest, certainly within reach. Of course, with Kickstarter, it is 29 days is all you get. And if you don't make it, you don't make it. There's no flexible goal like with Indiegogo, where it's like, you made $500. If you want to kick in the other 100 yourself, you're free to keep the money and fund the book.
Yeah.
So the biggest selling point you got is that the book is done. It's a finished product. You're just getting the printing. So let's take a look at some of the tiers here, and see what you. When would you be looking at releasing this, launching it out?
Well, I'm hoping for no later than June.
Okay.
To actually fulfill, like start sending the books out. So
I was talking about when you're going to start your Kickstarter.
That's a little bit up in the air right now, because one of the things I was waiting on is the printer was supposed to send me some paper samples, because if you see scroll down in the campaign, I have where I wanted to upgrade some of to make special covers, like holofoil, like one of them is glow in the dark, like the mask one would be.
Right.
I think it'd be really cool if it was glow in the dark, and but I wanted to make sure about what papers and everything that I would offer. So he was supposed to send it like 2 weeks ago, and I still haven't got it. So I was kind of waiting on that before I decide, say, okay, this is exactly what I'm going to offer. But I've already asked him in general, what it would cost if I did do some of these, like the glow in the dark one would cost something like $600 just to do one, because they got to set it up and everything.
Sure.
So
you got to have a certain number before it breaks down to affordability.
Yeah. So I was kind of waiting on that, but if I don't get it from him soon, I'm just going to go ahead and launch it maybe next week. And
I would my advice, first crowdfunding thing that you're doing here, I'd skip it. I'd say, let's not worry about special printings or any special paper, especially anything that's going to cost you money if you don't reach a certain level, because nobody knows you yet on this. And you're going to get enough to print this. That's not a problem. You're not going to get enough to make it financially feasible to do something crazy like holofoil or glow in the dark. Focus on quality book, quality story. You can have ancillary stretch goals outside of that, ancillary packages. I mean, you can have the stickers and the buttons and whatever have you that goes along with it.
I put the stretch goals for If you go down like the first stretch goal, it's like $1,200 to add in the epilogue that sort of bridges this story to what would hopefully be like the next chapter. And because originally I was thinking of just putting that in an anthology book. I got a bunch of other horror short stories that I want to put together in an anthology. So originally I was just going to put that in there, but if we get to the 1,200, I was going to just put it into every book, so every version would get that. And then I went to, what is it? I think 4,000 is to add the foil cover for the cover A, the standard cover, and then 6,000 for there's like a leather kind of paper for the cover B, and then 8,000 for cover D, which has the full figure shot. That would be sort of like a raised UV. The guy told me that it would kind of look like it would have kind of like a 3D effect.
Sure.
Like it would, you could feel it. The mask would actually come out. And then the last one would be just the mask itself. That cover, that's like 10,000 to do glow in the dark. So obviously I wouldn't do them unless we reach those stretch goals. If I can't reach any of those, then I would just do regular paper, regular comic.
Gotcha. Yeah, and I think doing it with add-ons is probably a cool way to do it too here, so you don't have to have a bunch of tiers. Okay, so if you're just doing a stretch goals, then yeah, that's totally different than saying, hey, you want to get the glow in the dark cover, pay this much amount. Just having it being added on because you reached a certain amount, that's more sane and safe, I think.
Yeah.
You're doing metal bookmarks. A lot of people are doing metal stuff lately.
Yeah, there's this company. I don't know who everybody's using, but I got right here. You see this company called Fairy Metal. I think they're in Colorado.
Okay.
And these are really nice.
Yeah, there's
the color just comes out like crazy, and it's super clear, and they're not that expensive. And
yeah,
they
there's
even
a guy in the crowdfunding community, Phoenix Animation, who's been doing it for a lot of the folks in the crowdfunding arena. Been doing bookmarks. Saw him last week. He did a bottle opener for somebody with the name of the bar that was also the name of the comic. So
yeah, I think I got this from Pixel Trader. He had it on Twitter. He got them from them, and he showed them, and I asked them, and he told me about them. So I got the bookmarks, and I was also going to do a set of trading card size, which would be all of the 4 covers. That would be metal too.
Okay. Yeah, people are loving metal. I don't know if this dye sublimation technique is a new thing that's just catching everybody's attention, but printing on metal is, we're doing it. We're printing on metal for our trophies this year.
Yeah, I think they look really awesome.
Okay, so here's the $4,000 stretch goal. This is the cover that would get upgraded to foil. I had to scroll down quite a bit to get to the stretch goals. And you've got a lot of good design work into your Kickstarter here.
Thanks.
As far as here's showing what the stretch goals are. I've seen ones where it's just like we're just typing in there $6,000 we do this, $7,000 we do that. You've got at least graphics to delineate the different stretch goals here.
Yeah, I tell you, this stuff took me forever to do this. I mean, I think I've been like 6 weeks up until like 1 or 3 o'clock in the morning trying to figure out like how to make these graphics like fit right on the page and all that kind of stuff.
Right. And this is the spot UV with this is where that mask is going to appear.
Yeah, so he told me, so basically like everything would have like a spot UV to it, but the mask itself would also have like an extra something where it would be raised up off the paper. So
like it was embossed or embossed. It'll be
yes, yeah, like embossed.
You will be able to feel it.
Yes, that's what he told me. So I'm hoping.
Okay. And then $10,000 is what makes this this cover here would have a glow in the dark cover to it for all those who had backed that.
Yeah.
All right. So what do we got? Oh, here's where we get into the interior art.
No, that's not the interior. That's an
This is,
extra story, short
oh,
story that I'm giving because I got different rewards. What I figured was that okay, I'm trying to keep it simple, right? Um, so I was just going to offer reward. There's digital rewards. So for people who like overseas or who just want a PDF, so we got that. Then it would just have a reward for each cover. So if somebody would rather have one cover, over the others, you can get the book itself for just $10, and that includes shipping in the USA. Um, and then I just had one big reward at the very end if you wanted everything. So I just put all of the physical books, every like digital reward, everything all together. If you want to just, like I just pay one thing and just get everything.
yeah.
And so I also added like that little short story there, just to sort of, you know, entice people. I just call it the Superfan collection.
Okay. So yeah, that again, not a bunch of tiers here. Basically, it's your PDF and one tier for each of the different covers. Uh, Now the different covers, cost different prices because of what you had to pay your artist. I'm sure they're
Yes.
expensive cover artists.
Yes.
The one thing I don't know if Kickstarter allows you to do this or if it's an Indiegogo thing. The one thing I would have suggested is to have a graphic with your right hand column here, so
Yeah, I
that
thought about that, but I didn't see any option to include a graphic.
yeah, I've not done
Um,
a Kickstarter, so I don't know how those
yeah.
work. And as I think about it more, I don't think I've ever seen a Kickstarter that does that. I think they are all relying on the left-hand wider column, like you already have that stuff. Indiegogo allows you to put a graphic at the header of each one
Yeah.
when they're built, so you can, when you're here, if your thing is not immediately opposite on the left, you can at least see above the header what's going to come with this specific box if you click on it.
Yeah, I mean, that would be a good thing to add. It would make sense too, because you can see
So
exactly what it is you're getting.
yeah, I mean, you can still scroll over here, but now you've got to scroll down to where it was again. Then you got to scroll back up and hope you clicked on the right one. You didn't forget it.
Yeah.
So this is as you mentioned earlier, this is a guy who was kind of rolled by some muggers who were looking for drug money, didn't find what they wanted, and decided to go to his house because they've got his wallet. Maybe keeps the money at home,
Yeah.
and he's given the supernatural abilities through the answer of a prayer answered by the wrong person, that lets him go out and protect them. Now, given who it is that answers that, there's a price to pay.
Exactly. There's always a catch.
Always a catch.
Yeah.
The
So,
devil's contracts are
and
that way.
yeah, and that would be what we would explore in the future chapters, because originally this was just going to be a sort of like it was a one shot, and it was just kind of be like a calling card sort of story that I could show around. But then when the artist was working on it, I just started thinking, like, well, what could I do with this? Is there any other stories that could come from this that would be, natural, not something I would like I'm trying to like just milk a cow or something, but a real story, like what's the consequences of this and how do these people go forward in their lives? And so I did come up with some things that I think would be interesting to follow these people's lives. And in the next chapter, it would be like we're jumping ahead 4 years, and then the girl in the story, her name is Matilda. She would be like in high school. She ever since this happened, she sees like this guy that she thinks is like following her, and so she's kind of haunted, like literally and psychologically and figuratively. She's
Sure.
haunted by what has happened, but she thinks she sees this guy who's always like following her, and it's her dead father. It's like the ghost of her, the spirit of him, but he's like watching after her, kind of like protecting her, but she doesn't know that. She actually perceives it as some kind of threatening entity kind of thing. And then there's all the ramifications about with the mother and exactly what happened and why the guy was working late that night. There's all kinds of things that will come out the further we can get into this story. And we're going to see, like, so what is the catch with this story? So the devil gives you this power to protect your family. So what is the catch there? Well, the catch there is that no matter what happens, it can be even something that seems like harmless, but if someone comes after your family, you can still take them. So like he's basically the guy's death, right? So he's reaping souls for the devil. And he doesn't really know it. He doesn't really understand what's going on. He's just like, I need to protect my daughter. So say, like, for example, you say, well, how would this work out if this girl is just going through her life and just doing whatever?
Because you don't get attacked every day, really.
Yeah. So, well, that's the one reason why I think, well, it can't be like an ongoing monthly series. It just has to be something that captures like a kind of like a small moment in their lives when something significant kind of happens. So, but if the devil sets up a situation where people think that your family is evil and they come after them, and you have to protect them. So it's like you're manipulating the situation. So one person can appear to be bad when they're not really bad. So I don't want to explain it too, because then it kind of gives away the whole thing. But
the devil is creating both the supply and the demand of the equation here.
Exactly.
So you want to protect your family. Okay, you have this. You have to protect your family. And oh, by the way, I'm going to send lots of threats to your family.
Exactly.
So you'll have lots of people to fight and to send back to me.
Yes.
So, okay, that's definitely the kind of Luciferian contract that I would expect. That kind of a twist. And now, of course, he's dead. But how does he get out of it?
So this whole evolution about, like I was saying, when she gets older, she's thinking that this person following her is some kind of evil thing. But then this evolution is like, how does she figure out that it's actually her father protecting her? And so there's a story arc there where she figures that out. And then there's where he figures out, what am I doing? Where am I at? How do I get out of this situation? All of that. So there's these layers of the different storylines going on where they're all trying to figure out what's happening and how to fix it, basically.
All right. So is this, I think you've mentioned this is going to be multiple issues. I mean, not a bunch of issues, but more than one, right?
Well, this first thing is just the one issue. It's 32 pages. If we add the epilogue, it would be 36 pages. But then the next chapter would be multiple issues. It could, like, I've already written 8 issues for the second chapter. I wrote those like 4 or 5 years ago. Sure. But I may, if this campaign is successful and people really want to see, where it goes, I'll probably go back into it and then maybe change it a little bit and maybe do like 4 issues and then do another 4 issues, kind of break it up into chapters.
Yeah, I can see that. So this is sort of like, this is a one shot, and then what would follow on would be sort of like a sequel miniseries in chapters set in this same world, following up the same story, if I'm following it correctly.
Yes, exactly.
Would you still call it 6-8, or would you have another 6-8 with a subtitle to it, or?
Yeah, there'll be a so like this one's called 6-8, and like I was saying, it references the Book of Revelation, and in there it says, "And hell followed with him," when they talk about the appearance of death. So when I was developing this, when I was trying to think of the title for it, and I thought of the 6-8. This actually came from wrestling. I don't know if you remember Stone Cold Steve Austin used to have his thing with 316.
I just kicked your ass, yeah.
Yeah. For some reason, that actually kind of inspired this a little bit. So I thought of 6-8 as a number, because I was thinking if people look for it, numbers always come at the top of the list. If you do it alphabetically. So I was thinking, oh man, maybe I'll be smart, and I'll put a number in there, 6-8. But then
And
I
then you
thought,
spelled it out.
yeah, then I thought it looked better just spelled out. But you see the colon in the logo, it kind of looks like a 6-8.
Oh yeah, I got it.
Yeah.
That's a very subtle
Yeah.
subtle design piece.
Yeah, I made that logo by hand with a stupid Wacom tablet or something. So what was I talking about? I forgot what I was talking about.
How you came up with the you subtitling the next issue.
Oh yeah. So when I was thinking of the future storylines, like the second one, I looked at different books, the same chapter and verse, 6-8, in different books of the Bible. So like the next one I looked at in Psalms 6-8, there's something that says, and he heard this, what was it? And he heard the sounds, the cries of my tears or something. I have it in I don't remember it off the top of my head, but I have it in one of the things. But those words actually describe perfectly what happens in the next chapter, because it's basically the father is finally understands what's going on with his daughter, and he actually breaks through the afterlife and into the real world. And this obviously upsets the devil, because he's not supposed to be able to do that. He's only supposed to be able to act, when the devil has, set up these rules. So he's breaking the rules and coming into the real world on his own, because he thinks his daughter is going to kill herself. So he's trying to save her from doing that, tell her to stop it. But when he does that, it basically fractures this barrier between the real world and the afterlife. And this mask that he wears is sort of like the totem, the spiritual totem that allows him to travel between it's like the devil's face. So it's allowing him to go in between. And when he does that, it cracks the mask. And that's why you see in the other artwork that I had some of the other artists do, the mask is cracked in a specific way. And like you see there, that icon there, that's what's going to happen in the next chapter.
Okay. So he shattered the totem of power, which can mean a bunch of different things. It can mean that he's shattered the connection between himself and the devil, or he's released the power to a different unrestrained degree. I love these covers too. Oh, Michael. I say this all the time on my streams. I come on here to spend other people's monies, specifically the creators. You need to talk to a guy named Sick Sex 6 on Twitter. SIC SAX SIX. Because you know what he does? He makes masks.
Really?
And if you do want to have some sort of a tier level on here that goes to the cool collector, he makes a lot of masks that are basically these full face kind of hockey mask deals, and he could pull that off.
Wow. It's SIC SAX SIX?
SEX. So it's Sick Sex 6. Obviously with an @ sign.
Is he only on Twitter? Is there another way? Because I don't.
That's the only place I know him. That's the only place I know him from. But
okay,
I could try to DM him and see if I can't give him your contact information. But
sure.
Yeah, he does a lot of. He has some YouTube channels. I've seen him on YouTube, but just don't remember how to get to him. Might be the same name, where he shows the process of making masks. He's doing them all the time. But just seeing your character here where he's holding the mask out like that, I'm like, oh yeah. Wait a second, I found your physical stretch goal that's not book related, I think.
Yeah, that would definitely be cool, because I actually got like some of the EVA foam. I was trying to play with it to see if I could make one, but I don't know how to do that stuff. And the guy who did this, Carlos Villas, who did that cover, he's going to do a 3D version of the mask for me. So I have a 3D file, and I don't know what I'm going to do with it, but I figured, he's already doing stuff. Might as well just go ahead and make it for me. And maybe in the future I could do something with it. I don't know if, like little keychains or something, like 3D sort of keychains or something with just the mask, or I don't know.
Well, I do know a guy who does 3D printing. He's doing action figures and spaceships and such like that. If you've got multiple angles of the mask, front and back kind of thing, then yeah, he could definitely help you with that.
Sure, definitely. Do you know his contact?
I do, again, on Twitter. But I do know that he has a YouTube channel as well. His name is George Peter Gatsis, and he shows lots of the videos where he's doing 3D printing. That's his professional day job when he's not making comics and making 3D prints for the crowdfunders and the CGers and such of their figures and stuff. He's got a house full of 3D printers. So now, I almost asked a very stupid question because everyone in the chat usually says, "What? No digital? This is already digital. If you want digital, go to Comixology and get the digital."
Well, I'll just say this. So what I did was, so there is a PDF that I'm offering here. This version of the story is slightly different than the one that you can get on Comixology.
Okay.
I added some dialogue and changed a few things, made some edits to it. So you can get it on Comixology right now. Go to Comic House, go to Kindle. But this version that I'm going to send out for this campaign will be the updated version. So just so people are aware of that.
Okay. Well, that's
not
cool,
any huge
because,
changes, just like some little things.
yeah, some remastering, some dialogue changes probably.
Yeah.
I love the look of the art. It's like you're looking at the whole thing happening through a window that hasn't been washed.
Yeah.
It's this filter across the whole thing, so it's like it adds an eerie sort of voyeuristic feel to it, like you're looking through a glass window that they can't see you through because it's just old and patinaed.
Yeah, it's when he first showed me the art, I was like, man, this is really cool because it's kind of like, to me, it's almost like you're inside of like a nightmare. It's very sort of dreamy. And originally I had thought that, my idea was that it'd be just like a very gritty sort of like Martin Scorsese 70s kind of film, just very realistic, like handheld camera kind of looking thing. But when he sent it back to me, it's almost like you're just floating around, and kind of everything is like in this dream. And I don't know if it's because originally, when, like I said, this is the first comic I ever wrote, and when I first started writing, I couldn't visualize things. I had to sketch out the page and then write the script from what I had written. And when I sent him the script, I also sent him all of the sketches I did, but I can't draw for shit. So I was just drawing, just very loose kind of things. And then when I went back and I compared what I had drawn and what he had drawn, I think he was sort of kind of copying what I had done, but it gave it that sort of dreamy sort of look to it. So it's just kind of funny, how things work out.
It looks a lot like Dave McKean, minus all the photo elements that he throws on top of things. So when he does hand drawn stuff, it looks a lot like this.
Yeah.
So
yeah, he told me that this guy artist, his name is Alan Burns. I haven't talked to him since we finished this. I don't know what's up with him, but he told me that he kind of was influenced heavily by there's somebody who's in the comic industry. I think his name is Ben something. Templesmith.
Oh yeah, Ben Templesmith, sure.
So he's saying that he kind of patterned his art kind of after this Ben Templesmith.
All right. Well, you said you're not on Twitter. Where are you going to announce your launches at?
I'm guessing on Facebook I'm in a bunch of groups on Facebook, like indie comic books, horrors groups there. I
Are you
joined.
in Pops Van Zant's The Madness?
I don't know who that is.
Okay, then you're not, and you need to be. Pops is actually doing uh, his own CromCon last 2 days online, and
Yeah.
yeah, you need to have him. I'm going to get you the link here.
Okay.
Because it's one of the groups I'm in. Okay. I've got the link. I'm going to put it here in the private chat to you. Yeah, you want to go talk with Pops Van Zant. Pops brings together lots of indie creators on Facebook, and he's not on Twitter. So this is sort of the place to go to show new stuff, and you'll be in with a bunch of other guys who will give you a lot of comment on your work, who are also printing their own work out.
Okay. Cool. Thank you.
I think it's a good looking project. Obviously, you know, it's ready to go. I don't see anything in your tiers that stands out to where I'd say, you know, hey, you know, don't bother doing that, because you got multiple covers, but not a slew of them. You got what, 4? That's not terrible.
Yeah, and I wasn't even gonna do the variants. I thought about I just wanted like some extra artwork that I thought would really catch people's attention, and I was gonna do them as prints. But when I thought about it, it's like, okay, if I'm gonna ship all this stuff and I do a print, that means I can't put it in a Gemini mailer. It won't, you know.
Well, a lot of people are doing 11 by 17 and folding it, and a lot of people are doing it in the print in the size that's basically your comic book backer, so that it does fit in the Gemini mailer.
Okay.
They're printing them to smaller scale, just so that they fit in that Gemini.
Yeah.
I like bigger pictures myself, but
yeah, I mean, me too. I don't want a folded picture either, but
yeah.
But then when I looked at the comic impressions, the guys who hopefully will print the book, and I looked to see like what is their cost for doing variant covers, and it's hardly any more than, you know, just doing the regular cover. So I figured, well, what the hell? I'll just do a couple of variant covers that way.
Yeah, because they just swap out the cover, and they still got the print file for the interior book.
Yeah.
So it's not a big swap for them. It's just one page.
Yeah.
It's not like, you know, you're swapping it out for a chromium or a glow in the dark. That's a totally different setup now.
Yeah.
That's where the cost really comes in. But, you know, swapping out a print file for the same paper stock, yeah, that's nothing.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Michael,
can I ask you one thing though?
Yeah, you can ask me anything you want.
Because I've been coming in and out of all of your podcasts today and listening to some of the people and what you've been talking about. So one thing is you're talking about shipping, and so I wasn't planning on offering the physical books outside of the USA, because when I look at like I got it on the USPS website right now.
Yeah.
It says that it starts at like almost $15.
Yep, that's about right.
So the book, and just one book, regular book, is only $5. So it didn't make any sense to me why anybody outside the US would pay that much money just for shipping.
Because that's what it costs to ship, really.
Yeah.
And if you're just, you know, it gets expensive to ship, especially when you start throwing more weight on it. I mean, yeah, you have a $10 book, it's going to cost $15 to ship. Depending on what country you go to, it may cost $25 to ship.
Yeah.
I don't know how Kickstarter does it. I know that Indiegogo basically calculates the shipping for you. So that's paid by the customer anyway.
Yeah.
Now we are working on ways of shipping internationally. Right now, our core business is shipping internationally into the United States. to the United States buyers. That's where our forte is. We are working on ways to get it out as well using the same model if we can in reverse. But even then, we're shipping, an 80-page graphic novel to the UK for $12 instead of $25. It's still $12 shipping, which is actually looked at as really good for international shipping costs.
Yeah,
we haven't put that in place yet, by the way, but it's just on paper that's what it comes out to. We're looking at other countries right now. We'll probably just start with the UK when we start doing outbound international shipping.
Yeah. All right. Yeah.
But I wouldn't be too afraid of that. Offer it, let them calculate the shipping costs. If Kickstarter does it, if an international backer wants it, they'll buy it that way. If they don't want to buy the shipping, you've got the PDF. So that's why the PDF is always important.
Yeah, that's why I was trying to offer some cool extra things in the PDF for people outside of the U.S. So
sure. Anything else? You know what I would do, Michael. I would throw another tier on here, and only because I've seen people do this with their tiers. If they have another book that they've done, you already completed Neotheric. I would have a tier down there where you can say get both books.
Yeah.
I would offer Neotheric at least as an add-on.
Okay.
And that way,
I didn't think about that because it's like a totally different,
totally unrelated
genre. And
Doesn't matter. You've got stock. You need to move stock. It's a good book. Give a brief synopsis of it on the page at the bottom. Said, hey, with as an add-on, get our previously already published book. It's out. You're not waiting on it. Neotheric, and just put a price on it and let them add it on.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I think I'll do that.
So, all right. Well, unless there's anything more that we need to talk about, we are right up against the hour here. Just enough time to switch over to the next stream.
I appreciate it.
Hey, glad to help out. Always glad to have you on. We are, wow, it's the 6 o'clock hour here. We are down to our last. We're 2/3 of the way through this crazy thing. And
by the way, today's my birthday, so everybody should.
Well, it's not launched, man. If it was launched, I'd say everybody go out and buy a copy of the book for Michael's birthday.
Well, I got a website, randyroadmedia.com. I'm going to be posting on Facebook. I got a Facebook page. You can look for me, Randy Road. I'm on Parler. I don't know if anybody else is on Parler. But I dumped Twitter and Instagram. So
yeah, well, Instagram is Facebook. So, but you can't put links on Instagram. That's useless. All you can do is put the pictures up and hope people copy and paste your link. We have one. We have one basically so that nobody else takes it. Last thing, it's good to have the account even if you don't use it, just to keep other people from using your brand.
Well, that's true.
And misrepresenting you. All right. Well, Michael, glad to have you on. Folks in the chat, thank you for showing up. Hope to see you again in 5 minutes when we go talk about Fiendish. That's going to be an interesting one. Last third of Podcast-palooza